How's it going, everybody? This is Cooliex the Twilight Dragon here, giving you another post cap. Um, Even though I did a commentary on this game, I felt like my microphone wasn't that great, so I decided to do it with this new mic to see if I do a little bit better and see if I can articulate my thoughts on the game better. So Comic Zone was the first game I did a complete playthrough of for my channel. Uh, let's just go into some history about it. Comic Zone was the shit for me when I was a kid. I mean, it's a sleeper hit because not a lot of people know about it. Obviously, the only reason I knew about the game was because my dad, and the only reason he knew about it, I think it was advertised in his books. Because my dad was a big comic book guy when I was growing up. Um, Comic Zone was probably one of I wouldn't say like one of the best Sega games, but like it's definitely for me it's like one of my top favorite Sega games of all time. Um, to compare Comic Zone today, and I found this pretty interesting. And I was thinking of this in my head at work. Comic Zone today would be probably compared to Azura's Wrath for the three systems, and I'll explain why. You see, Azura's Wrath is another game I really loved, and for one really big reason. Azura's Wrath had basically combined two things that gamers love, or not game gamers, but it was like just people in general love. It combined two big things together into one game, and that's what made it awesome. Azura's Wrath combined anime and video games into one thing, because when you play Azura's Wrath, you feel like you're basically playing you feel like you're watching an anime and you're also like playing the game at the same time. So like it just like doubles the excitement or anything like that. Now Comic Zone basically did the same thing. See, back then, this is like right 1995 when this came out. Back then, the top biggest things for kids back then was collecting comic books and video games. So what better way to do but combine both of them together? And I thought that was pretty awesome. I was like, wow, when you really think about it, it's just as innovative as Azura's Wrath was. I thought that was pretty cool. Because even myself, I loved comic books as a kid. I didn't have money to buy them. I usually like made my own just for the fun of it. But I loved comic books also, like just the art style, superheroes, all that good stuff. So it was pretty cool to see that you have a game that does comics and gaming all in one thing. And the thing that made it and they just did an amazing job with the game, from just the overall how the game runs is just great. It's just like you really are like how the way he just goes between the panels of the book, the way how when certain things happen, the panels are ripped and stuff like that. It's cool. Like you feel like you actually like taking part in a comic book. It's great. And one of the things I was really most impressed about, I think anybody would be most impressed about, is the music. The music in this game is phenomenal. And it's crazy because the music is like, it's on Sega, it's like 16 bits and stuff like that. Basically MIDI when you think about it, like MIDI stuff. And it's pretty awesome to think that, wow, like to create this kind of music for an action game. And you don't sound like you have orchestra and all that kind of stuff, all that good stuff that we have nowadays. Whoever made the album, like he did an awesome job. Like I would listen to the music for this game anytime because it's just so perfect. It matches the moods, everything. It's like easy. It's great. So some story about Comic Zone. Comic Zone basically is a story that you're a comic artist named Sketch Turner. And one day you're working on your comic book, and next lightning hits your book, and bam, your most ultimate bad guy Mortis jumps out of the book, and basically he throws you into the book, and he says that if he can kill you, then he'll become real, and there you go. So basically, your job, basically the premise of the game is to survive your comic book and find a way out. Now, when you get inside the book, Sketch meets Elisa, who is actually like the head of some secret organization. I forgot what it was. Some organization, basically, not secret. I'm sorry. Some organization that's trying to stop Mortis's Morris's dealings in the book. See, and the thing is funny is that because Sketch Sketch is actually looks like his character who's supposed to be in the book, which is the superhero that you see. I think that the superhero was meant to be the character, and since he looks so much like Sketch, that's why Alicia thought that he was him. Um, Story's not really that strong, but then again, we didn't really, we gotta think back. Back then we did there was a lot of really there wasn't a lot of games we played for story. We played games for for the action and for the quick rush and thrill. It wasn't really meant for all that. I mean, the only games back then that were actually meant to do that were like RPG games, like Final Fantasy and stuff like that. And so, for what the game is themed for, the story works. Some people go like, "Oh, the story's weak" and stuff like that. But come on, you really gotta think about it. Like back then, were we really playing games with story? Hell no. I mean, look at Mario. Like the story is you're just going from one point A to point B to save a princess and beat Bowser. What kind of that's there's no like gripping like detailed story like, oh my god, Bowser's really his father or some crap like that. So like I said, we don't play these games for the story. So it'd be kind of wrong to look at it for a story point of view. I think it's better to look at these old games from their gameplay point of view. That's what's more important in my opinion. And the gameplay in this game is great. I mean, I don't know if you heard me in the very beginning in my commentary of this game, but like when I first played this game, like this was back then when you couldn't just buy games, you used to just rent them. I used to rent this game every freaking weekend from Blockbuster, like every time. And my mom would go like, "Why the heck are you renting this game again? Didn't you beat it already?" And I was like, "Yeah," but still, I wanted to play it again. For some reason, the replay value of this game it's varied. I mean, if you're one of those people who like to explore everything or just like a good action game or something like that, the replay value in this game is high. Because that's me. I enjoy this game because it's just like the fighting in it is great. The gameplay itself is awesome. And it's just one of those games that once you beat it once, like it's just fun to just go over it again, just to show off or just see how fast you can beat it and stuff like that. Another reason why this game was so like highly replayable is because there are multiple paths. You see, there's times in the book where you could take two paths. Usually, the way that would work out is that one path would be harder than the other path. That's basically how it will usually wind up. So that's another reason why the game is replayable, because you got to go back to play those levels to see, I did this path, what about the other path? And some paths you're better off just avoiding, like in the second level. We get to the second half of the second level. I remember I said this too in the review. I mean, my gameplay. That in the second half of the second level, if you go on the left side after you beat the girls, you have to do this part where Mortis lights the page on fire, and you have to get to the bottom before you get caught. It's almost freaking, it's crazy hard. It's better to take the lower path, which is easier to take. Some other things. Let me go to the items. I think there's like 6 or 7 items in the game. The most useful item definitely would be Roadkill, your rat. Roadkill, basically, he serves for, I would say, 2 or 3 purposes. First, his main purpose is to attack enemies. That's what he's supposed to be used for. But it doesn't really work out for him because, he's so small. And if Roadkill gets hit 3 times, he gets knocked off the stage, and you have to find him again. And he's in different parts of the level, so if you lose him, you can find him again. But it's definitely always good to keep him in your inventory. And that reason is for reason number 2. Roadkill can find hidden items in hidden pathways. That is Roadkill's most useful thing. And the way you can find out is like, each panel of the book, each panel of like the stage, just bring out Roadkill and just have him walk back and forth and see if he finds anything. Most times, in most panels of the game, I'll say at least about maybe half of them. No, not a half, maybe a third of them. A third of the panels of the game, Roadkill will find an item. Easy. The last thing Roadkill is used for and this sort of goes with the attacking enemies thing, but he's also good for Mangara, the girl enemies. See, they're afraid of him apparently, so if you have roadkill out, he'll scare them and they'll jump off the book automatically. That way you don't have to worry about fighting them. Real easy. Next item is the knife. Knife is basically a ranged weapon. You just toss it. There you go. Does a pretty good amount of damage. I know it instantly kills bats, and it does an okay amount of damage on like regular enemies. There's the grenade, the one you toss. That one does explosive damage. Obviously, it's usually good for. I think the only time you actually like really need to use it, is that part in stage 2 on the first book when after you get past the Kung Fung tournament, and you have to toss it at the Stigirl who's blocking you from getting up there. Because if you don't get it, you won't be able to get up there. Well, you can get up there, but it'll just take a long ass time when you're trying to jump kick him. The next weapon is the bomb. I keep calling it like the grenade and the walkthrough. I kept messing that up, but the bomb is basically used for like blowing up. I think it's like the second most useful item in the game. It's good for blowing up paths that's blocking you. It's good for setting off traps and stuff like that. Like example in the second book when you get to the second part, it's good to you have to as soon as you get into the part with the well, you gotta set one down automatic. You gotta set one down like as soon as you get in the well, or else there's a trap down and it does a lot of damage to you. Another weapon is the medicine bottle. Obviously, it does what it's supposed to do. It replenishes your health. The most powerful weapon in the game is the Power Fist. That one, what that does is that it basically destroys everything on the screen. Every enemy on the screen will be destroyed once you use that weapon. Their Power Fists are really rare to find. You don't really find them like in a lot of spots in the game. The only way you can get like a lot of them is if you get the question mark items, and I'll get to those next. But yeah, Power Fist, I don't really like care much for them. I mean, because I'm like I played this game many times, so I already know I don't really need to use them. The next item is the question mark. Question mark is a random item. The question mark can be anything, any weapon that you can pick, any weapon that you usually come out to the game, but the question mark can also be an explosion that can cause a lot of damage to you. That's one of the main reasons I avoid the freaking question marks, because if you are low on health and you pick it up and it explodes, you will die. It doesn't matter how cheap it is, you will die if that thing happens. And there's been so many times it happened to me in the gameplay here too, where I lost a lot of health, and that's why I had to start the whole level over. But there's so many times where that explosion just like messes you up. I only suggest getting the question mark item if you have a lot of health, and it'll take like maybe down to like half. But if you don't have more than like full health, if you don't have like full or 75% health, I would just leave it there. Seriously, because like it's not worth like taking that risk. But that's the items of the game. The other item that there is, I forgot, and this item you can use anytime you want, but it costs a lot of health, and I hadn't used it in the game because, like I said, it costs a lot of health to use it. Is the airplane. If you hold the attack button down, Sketch will grab at the book, and he will actually make a paper airplane. The paper airplane is sort of like the Power Fist, and what it does is that whatever it hits will get killed in one hit. Now, the only problem with that is that airplane can also hurt Sketch too. The airplane takes about maybe, I would say, half of Sketch's health to use. And the best way to think about that would be to think of Michael Jackson's Moonwalker from Sega. Like when you do the spinning dance, how it takes your health. That's basically the same way to think of the making the paper airplane. If you just hold it and everything like that, he basically will just lose lots of health, and it's just in the end it's not really worth it, in my opinion at least. Especially because sometimes I think at one point just one point the paper airplane actually killed me, and it was just kind of fucked up. I was like, really? Because I basically threw the thing and it killed the enemy, but then it came back and I was like, oh crap, are you serious? And then like I think I was trying to block it, and then it pushed me for a while, and then it got behind me, and then basically that counted as a hit, and like it just sapped me of all my health. I thought that was so cheap. I was like, "Are you serious?" It was funny, but yeah, that's basically the items of the game. I love this game. I will play it anytime, as always. I mean, it's like my Crash games. Like it's one of those games you just pop in anytime and have a great time. The continue system. Now, see, I have to explain this because I saw another like a popular channel review Comic Zone, and they didn't know how the continues worked. They was like, oh, sometimes Mortis will give you continue, and sometimes he won't. It's not random. Like it's actually quite simple how the continues work in this game. Basically, each time you beat a level, you get one continue. There's only 3 stages in the game. Well, 6. You could actually really more like 6 because there's 3 comic books, but they're broken into 2 parts. Basically, each time you beat a level, you get a continue. So if you die, that counts as one continue. Now your continues will get replenished if you use them. So like let's say I get straight from level 1 to level 3 without dying. If I die there, I have 2 continues. Now, let's say I use one of those continues at level 2, but I'm at level 3. I only have one continue for getting to level 3. If I die again, that's it. That's game over. And that almost happened to me in the gameplay. I was really nervous about that because I had no health when I got to Mortis, and I was like, "Damn, if I die here, there goes the whole game. I'd start all over again." But see, the thing is though, the game is actually relatively short. Once you know what you're doing, Comic Zone is actually really short. But that's what makes it so good at the same time, though. I think that's another thing that makes it so replayable because it's so short. So there's so many things you can do in it. So it's like you might as well just it's like you can play it again and don't feel like you're just like dragging and stuff like that. You don't feel like you're dragging your heels, having to go through like so much crap. It's actually pretty quick once you know what you're doing. And I think that's another thing. Yeah, that's what I like about that. It's a really short game to just pick up and play. I think like seriously, like you could probably beat the game in, like 20-30 minutes tops. Probably faster if you like if you're more hardcore at the game than I am. But yeah, it's definitely one of those games that you can beat really quickly. It's not that long, especially when you like know all your secrets and stuff like that. Another thing, anything else I should talk about in this game? Well, I guess let me just say my thoughts. Some more thoughts about it. I guess I always want them to make another one of Comic Zone. I was always waiting for a Comic Zone 2 when I was a kid. I was like, this game was so perfect. They had to make a part 2. They have to. But see, I didn't know that the game was a sleeper hit. I didn't know that not a lot of people knew about it. I thought it was popular. So I'm thinking like, okay, yeah, just get like another year or so, and this game will get a sequel. Never got a sequel, and I didn't like that. I was like, oh man, because you know those games, like the games where you played it, and, after you beat it, you're like, man, that was great. I can't wait for them to make a part 2 and stuff like that. So yeah, there's tons of games I have like that, and this was one of them. Like I always wanted to make a Comic Zone 2, but it never did. And it would be so easy to make a game, but make this game. But see, the thing that I'm scared about is that I would think that the people who will make it, I'm afraid that they would try to make it 3D, and that would just screw up the whole thing. You see, I think the thing that would keep this game perfect, have it 3D but on a 2D plane, have all the background and everything like that look nice in 3D. However, make the game 2D playable. That way it keeps the comic feel of it. That way because in 3D it's not gonna look good going between panels of a comic book. That's only something you can do in 2D. So I think that if they did that in 3D, I think they did a 3D game in a 2D plane, it'd be perfect. It'd be freaking awesome. And it don't have to be Sketch Turner. It can be another person. It can be just the same random occurrence. Some random comic book artist gets stuck in his own comic book and voila. That'd be awesome. It'd be even cooler, I guess, for story wise. I wouldn't say Mortis, but if somehow, let's say this person, because in the end of the story, and then when you beat this game, I don't know if you guys read the credits or not, but Sketch's comic book becomes popular and he gets really rich off it. it'd be really cool if they like linked, they like somehow merged the two stories together. Like they said, like, oh, there's another comic book artist, and he wanted to make something as popular as Comic Zone, and then they see that's how you can fit more just into the whole shebang. That'd be pretty cool if you think about it. Pretty awesome if they could do something like that. But I'm just I'm just thinking out loud basically. But yeah, I'll always love for to make a Comic Zone too. This is definitely one of my favorite games, one of my favorite old school games of all time. You know, it's I recommend it to anybody who plays it. All you gotta do is just pop it in a Sega or download it, and then just have the time of your life. It's just great. Like you see me having fun in the playthrough, you'll have just as much fun as I am. Especially if you're like your first time playing it, everything will be new to you. But it's just great. It's a really great game, and I highly recommend it. All right, I think I'll wrap things up right there. Thanks for watching, and I hope you guys stay tuned to the channel. I hope you enjoyed the playthrough. There's definitely more games to come, guys. Don't worry. I have tons more to do. I am just getting started. This dragon has a lot more work ahead of him for this YouTube channel. So I hope you guys are enjoying, and I'll see you next time.
Oh yeah!